Hello friends, hope you're well. Welcome to the Dirt Report Tech and Telco news from all around Australia with some international tidbits. But today, however, we need to put a spotlight on NBN Co again. Why, you may ask? Well, let's find out. So no tidbits today. Thanks for jumping in. Make sure to like this video if you did and tap the subscribe button to support us. I'm doing it a little bit differently. I thought I'd put a big microphone in front to try and speak loudly. Let me know what you guys think. Let's get started by rolling the intro. This week, there was a lot of talk about NBN Co raising prices of their plans, and when NBN Co raises prices, it's across the board and all telcos. We touched on this last week, but I think we need to talk about it again. They are doubling prices within 10 years, and this would put a lot of pressure on Aussies, potentially barring them from accessing reliable internet. But there's still 5G, which is reasonably cheap so far. There, of course, was a lot of criticism this week, and the media certainly took issue, but was it new news? Maybe not. It was announced quite a while back. Now, what's changed this week that is potentially good news, or at least something to put a little bit of a spin on it? Well, first of all, Telstra took shots at NBN Co for planned outages. What's that got to do with pricing? Well, in a submission for the NBN's special access undertaking, Telstra outlined that millions of its customers experienced outages and that almost half of those planned outages did not meet the 10-day notification period agreed in the service level agreement. Some of these planned outages also happened during business hours, causing a lot of problems for business customers. Now, planned outages are okay if you're notified in advance and can plan around it. For example, get a 4G dongle, though a disruption is, after all, a disruption to business. So what do planned outages really mean? Well, it means either maintenance or upgrades, but I don't think there's a lot of upgrades happening right now. There is, however, a lot of maintenance to do. According to IT News, an NBN Co spokesperson said, NBN Co does its best to provide advance notice of planned maintenance to internet retailers wherever possible. In some instances where urgent work is required, this may not always be possible. We seek to schedule these necessary upgrade works at times that will minimize disruption to customers. However, some work will need to be conducted during daylight hours to help minimize impacts for customers and health, safety, and environmental requirements. The issue here is that NBN Co isn't just your run-of-the-mill telco. They are the backbone of the country's telecommunication infrastructure. They need to act like it. So is this why we need to raise prices, because the infrastructure needs constant repairs and upgrades? Well, let's not beat a dead horse. Actually, no, let's beat that bastard whole. This is what we talked about for the last few years. Going with a mixed technology approach means years and years of maintenance and double the cost. Then, Vocus jumps out of the bush and asks NBN Co to reduce the costs of the 50 megabits plan, likely because it's the most popular one with little to no margin to maintain that service. Like Telstra, Vocus submitted their feedback to the NBN Special Access Undertaking, stating that 80% of their customers are on the 50 megabits plan or below, which is pretty crazy to think about in general. Now, let me know below what your speed is, though I think if you're watching this video, you might be biased towards higher speeds, but nonetheless, let's chat there. Also, links below for the public SAU submission from Vocus, titled, ironically, Vocus calls for NBN SAU reboot to put Australians first. Now, Vocus goes on to ask NBN Co to get rid of variable bandwidth charges. This, of course, is the CVC charge system that again keeps coming up. And if you want to understand a little bit more why this is actually a necessary evil, check out my interview with Damon Ivory, linked below. Now, Vocus CEO Kevin Russell said, NBN's proposed SAU variation is built on the flawed foundation of its history. The new government, which is committed to keeping the NBN in public hands, has an opportunity to make a clean break from the public mistakes of the past and reboot the SAU process to put Australian broadband users first. Put simply, the real market value of the NBN is far less than what it costs to build. Because of this failure to recognize the real market value of the asset, NBN has proposed SAU variations as a monopoly targeting unrealistic financial returns, rather than addressing consumer needs and market reality. Vocus has a point. First of all, the new government has an opportunity to remake this anew. The other side is that NBN was always supposed to be a loss lead because of the value adds to everyone else, and the cost of it to the government was always going to be a loss. Now they're trying to make money off it, which kind of defeats the purpose of the government working for the people. Let me know your thoughts below. Russell's added that NBN's proposed pricing would charge higher pricing for the exact same broadband speeds Australia is already receiving today, which is kind of problematic. He continued, NBN's flawed model is pricing affordable broadband out of the market by stealth due to NBN's consumption-based pricing. The ACCC predicts a 50 megabits broadband service will cost as much as the 100 megabit service within just 5 years, pushing more households into expensive broadband plans they might struggle to afford. The technicality behind this comment is that the 50 megabit service will cost almost 15% more under NBN's proposed wholesale pricing, but this increase is only the initial one. This number comes from a price increase overall and then a decrease in CVC inclusions, which totals a 15% overall increase to achieve the same service. Then there is also the year-on-year increases that will eventually push the price of 50 megabits plans to that of the 100 megabits plans. And according to Vocus, this will affect that 80% of NBN users. Now, apart from higher costs for consumers, this price change will also push many NBN retailers out of the business, which reduces competition in the market. ACCC should take notice, right? Though when you're selling the same product with a different paint job, what sort of competition is there anyway? The service, I guess, the support. And then if that means the support is what you get, how come NBN Co is being blamed for outages and not helping Telstra or Vocus or any other brands out there to notify their customers on time based on SLA? Then comes NBN Co with their submission ACCC consultation paper - proposed variation to the NBN Co special access undertaking. Of course, links are below. The submission talks about their pricing, the future demand of the network, and how nearly 30% of users are on the wrong plan for their needs. That's right, guys, you're using your NBN incorrectly. Now, from that, you would think, hang on, is NBN telling us that 30% of people should be on lower plans? And in fact, do they even need that amount of bandwidth and that speed? Maybe they need to reduce it because they'll save money. No! NBN Co is saying that 30% of users are on plans that are too small for them and they should upgrade based on their bandwidth usage. So while RSPs are complaining about the costs, NBN Co says, well, no, your users should be on higher plans that cost more, and those higher plans, you get more CVC, so you'll be making more money. It's, problem solved. It's all done. Here is what the NBN Co had to say in their submission. It is imperative to note the significant lead time in building the physical infrastructure required to support increased speeds and data demand, and the consequences of underestimating demand could take years to correct. I think it already has taken years to correct. We're 10 years in. 12 years? Jesus Christ, we're at it already. NBN continues. NBN sees no evidence that Australia will be an exception to global internet bandwidth demand, and we believe that ongoing investment in our network is required to ensure we can meet demand and continue remarkable benefits of digitization witnessed in Australia for the last 20 years. As of April 2022, 45% of all NBN 25 megabit services in operation reach their maximum possible utilization at least twice a month, suggesting that these services are being used at the limit of their bandwidth capacity. This has significantly increased from 33% in April 2021 across all speed tiers. 29% of NBN services in operation achieve the plan's maximum utilization threshold at least twice a month. This suggests a high level of usage intensity of the NBN network, which is rapidly increasing over time. If these trends are extrapolated to 2028, it is clearly unrealistic that the medium household speed required in 2028 will be that of 29 megabits a second. Indeed, median fixed download speeds in Australia have already reached 51.9 megabits a second as of May 2022, almost double the household speed required predicted for 2028. As an aside, you do remember, right, when people were saying Australians only need 50 megabits. Why would anybody need anything faster? That's why we don't need fiber. Well, we just passed 50. Consumer research also indicates that end users are increasingly valuing speed of services compared to other attributes such as price. From the rest of the documentation, I view this as the main reasoning behind the cost increase, because to build fiber and provide you those higher speeds, they need money. But for example, in 2017, 18% of households chose speeds as the most important factor when selecting internet service providers, with 32% choosing price as the most important factor. But by 2021, the situation was reversed, with 25% of households choosing speeds and only 23% choosing price as the most important factor. These trends suggest that end users are increasingly preferring to move up to speed tier value chain and are willing to pay a premium for higher speed services. This sits at odds with Baykar's view that the vast majority of households will not require speeds greater than 78 megabits a second by 2028. By the way, the Baykar's demand for fixed line broadband is an Australian working paper that forecasted by 2026 the average household will demand 420 gigabytes of data each month, which is more than 4 times as much demand in 2016. In that report, the key findings showed that despite rapid growth in demand for data in Australia, the rollout of the national broadband network should provide sufficient bandwidth capacity for Australian households both now and over the decade to 2026. But looks like they were wrong. The numbers do not align, and Australia will be consuming more data and needing more speed. Somehow I feel like this was mentioned somewhere in the start when NBN kicked off, especially when the fiber was the plan. This week again proved measure twice, cut once, do the job right the first time. And now NBN Co has to redo the network to match it with demand, at the same time having to charge more to do so. And the telcos all have a shocked Pikachu face. So finally, the good news. NBN Co will not be increasing prices. The Albanese government has made it clear that they will stop NBN Co from increasing prices in the next 10 years. They have asked NBN Co to redo the SAU. So well done, Labour, in taking your first step to make things right with the NBN. Let me know your thoughts below. And on that note, we have to end this episode. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure to smash that like button. And if you would like to support us, please subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you all in another one. Bye!